the world's leader in motorsports coverage presents Speed World. Tonight, live from Bristol International Raceway, qualifying for the Busch 500, being brought to you by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. By Quaker State Motor Oil, the big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. And by Pontiac Grand Prix, the 1988 Motor Trend Car of the Year. We have a great crowd on hand here, and they are enthused about qualifying for tomorrow night's Busch 500 Winston Cup race that we'll have live for you here tomorrow night, and qualifying has already begun. Terry Labonte is just about to roll out onto the raceway for his qualifying run, and he is the next qualifier in line. Terry Labonte driving car number 11, set to go here at Bristol on what has been a very interesting day of activity, and we'll tell you more about that in just a moment. So far, Darrell Waltrip is on the pole with a speed of 115.382 miles an hour. Dale Earnhardt right now is second fastest at 115.064. Butch Miller, driving the number 31 Slender U car, clocks in third fastest at this point at 113.653. Then comes Dale Jarrett at 113.337. Rick Mast driving the number 88 Buddy Baker car at 112.758. Then Rodney Combs at 112.434. Neil Bonnet at 112.427. And the slowest man in the field right now is Lee Falk, driving the other Slender U car, number 32, with a qualifying speed of 109.327.
And Terry Labonte is no stranger to winning poles here at Bristol. He has a pole in the past. He's also won a race here. Let's see what he can do with Darrell Waltrip. Good lap, 16.889 in seconds. That's 113.612 miles an hour. And most of the cars, Bob, have been running faster on their second lap than they have on their first lap. And they do get 2 laps on a short track, the fastest of the 2 count.
And here he comes for the checkered flag. So Terry Labonte completes his qualifying run. And we're waiting the time and speed report on lap number 2. It is 16.839 seconds. And that translates to a speed of 113.950 miles an hour, so that will be the fastest. We told you that it's been a very interesting day here at Bristol, and there was near tragedy that occurred on the racetrack just after the practice begun for the Winston Cup cars. This is Rusty Wallace in a violent end-over-end flip coming off of corner number 4. The car overturned several times, finally coming to a rest on its wheels against the pit wall. Normally, you would not think of a crash on this size of a racetrack being that violent, but it was. And there you can see Dr. Jerry Punch in the red shirt, who is with us tonight, of course, as one of our broadcast colleagues here on this race. He's directing the extraction procedures. There are the skid marks that carried Rusty into the 4th turn wall, and then the car began the series of barrel rolls. They cut off the roll cage from the car and then began the extrication procedures. There is Dick Beatty, the NASCAR director of competition, who was overseeing the extraction of Rusty Wallace. He was lifted from the car with the collar on, but that was just as a precautionary move. And let's go now to Dr. Jerry Punch, who can tell us more about the injuries received by Rusty Wallace.
Well, Bob, of course, Rusty was unconscious when we got to him, and that's changed quite a bit now. He has been admitted at Bristol Memorial Hospital for observation overnight. Now, he has undergone extensive x-ray and a brain scan, and we are told they are all normal, but he is being admitted for observation. So after a violent crash today, Rusty Wallace is sitting in his hospital room tonight watching qualifying and watching this 200-lap Busch Grand National show. But a good break and a good luck for Rusty Wallace after that crash this afternoon. But what an absolute unbelievable show. The car flipping, rolling 4 and 5 times and coming to a halt. But Rusty is okay. He is admitted tonight in the hospital, and hopefully will be out later on tonight or in the morning.
All right, thank you very much, Jerry, and his fans are also here. You know, just before that crash, we talked to Rusty about the problems that he will encounter here on this racetrack, and here's what he said.
Well, I think the most critical spots in the whole racetrack are definitely coming off of turn 4. For some reason, the track is real ripply coming off of turn 4, and when you hit that, if you don't have the car sprung and shock right, he tries to get real loose coming off that corner. So I expect you're going to see some excitement off of turn 4.
And those were the comments of Rusty Wallace just before that violent crash. There you can see he was in the ambulance and taken to the local hospital. And right away, the crew began working on a backup car. They had to take a show car from a local area, and they were trying to salvage the parts that were from the wrecked car and are now making the backup car ready to qualify perhaps sometime tomorrow. And we certainly hope that that car is ready, and we hope that Rusty will be the one able to qualify it. Now let's go to Larry Newber, who's with Dale Earnhardt.
Well, Bob, the first driver on the racetrack to stop to Rusty's aid was Dale Earnhardt. Dale, you got there first. What was the scene when you arrived?
Well, I didn't get there first. Doc Punch was there with him. I come around and they had just crashed, and I just come out of pit, so I seen he was leaned over in the car, so I jumped out of the car and went over and see if we could help. The doctor was right there, and rescue people, and a lot of other crew members and drivers were there too. So, everybody just really helped with getting the metal off the car where they could get him out and everything. Once I seen him come to, I was up on the front of the car where I could see him, and he looked up at me, and I was talking to him, and I shook my fist at him, and when he smiled, I knew he was all right then. So, I'm glad he'll be out here tomorrow racing with us, and everything will be okay.
Good enough, Dale. The track has taken a lot of rap in the last couple weeks, and it cannot be confirmed that this was an accident caused by track conditions. Jerry Punch with the further report on pit road.
Well, we were told Rusty has a concussion, of course, is in the hospital tonight, and the NASCAR rules are very specific about what might happen tomorrow with Rusty and his race car. Of course, Rusty is embroiled in a very tight Winston Cup point battle, so he needs to race tomorrow, but his health is a primary concern. Now, what could happen is Rusty could come out and maybe start the car, possibly. He would have to take the green flag and then be able to come down pit road and climb out of the car. Now, what about qualifying? If he is not ready to qualify the car tomorrow, obviously the car they're working on right now is not ready to qualify tonight. That car will be ready to qualify in the second round of Busch qualifying tomorrow at 1 o'clock. They can get another driver, possibly get one of the Busch Grand National drivers here to qualify the Kodiak Pontiac. And if he qualified the car, say, in 18th or 19th spot, then Rusty will be able to start that car exactly where the car qualifies and not in the rear of the field. So Rick Wilson on the Speedway for his qualifying effort. Hopefully Rusty is watching right now. Maybe he'll be back tomorrow and we can talk more with Rusty. But right now, Rick Wilson qualifying in the Kodak Oldsmobile.
There you can see he was the pole sitter in the Winston Cup race, qualifying at 117.552 miles an hour.
And that is the overall track record here at the Bristol International Raceway. Normally they run a little bit faster when they come here in the spring because the weather is cooler. However, the sun has gone down a little bit here now, but I think the roughness of the track, Bob, is slowing the speeds a little bit tonight. Pretty good lap for Rick on his first lap, 17.005. That's 112.837 miles per hour.
You will see the cars bottoming out, some sparks flying from the underneath of the car and at spots on the racetrack. Here comes Rick Wilson off the fourth corner and completing his qualifying one. We are waiting for lap number 2, and it looks like that lap number 2 is going to be considerably better. So Rick Wilson has a time of 16.818, and that is a speed of 114.092 miles an hour. The next man to roll off the starting line to attempt qualifying will be Alan Kulwicki.
And he was one of the fastest cars in practice this afternoon, Bob. He has already won, 2 poles so far this year, and looking to tie Bill Elliott, who has 3 poles to his credit so far. $30,000 up for grabs for the driver who wins the most poles during the season from Busch Beer. And, of course, there's a very tight battle for that. Bill Elliott is the only driver who has won 3. There are 5 other drivers who have 2 poles each.
And Alan's poles this year have come at Dover and at the first Pocono race. So here's Alan Kulwicki in the 0X4 taking turns number 3 and 4 and the white flag. Completing lap number 1 of qualifying, and it is a pretty good lap there, Ned.
Brand new track record, 16.502 seconds. That's 116.277 miles an hour. No big surprise because he really was running fast today in practice.
So he knocks Darrell Waltrip from the pole position, and here's Alan Kulwicki completing lap number 2. We'll see if it's faster. Indeed it is. Lap number 2 for Alan Kulwicki is a 16.415 second, and that is a speed of 116.893 miles an hour. Waltrip is off the pole. Alan Kulwicki on the provisional pole at the moment. Let's go to the pits and a conversation with Darrell Waltrip.
Well, Bob, earlier in the year, some people were critical because Darrell's 2 poles came on super speedways. This is your best short track performance, but you just got knocked off the pole. It looked like you almost had it for a while.
Well, I was the 3rd car out, and it'll get a little quicker here as it gets a little later. I'm all right. There's a couple of cars that are going to beat me. I should be in the first 4 or 5 spots, and for me here at Bristol, that's real encouraging.
Well, Bob, he called it. We were standing here watching the run. He says, I'm worried about cars numbered 5, 6, and 7, and one of them got him.
And Larry, as the sun goes down and it gets a little bit cooler, Darrell mentioned that they will get a little faster. I mentioned a moment ago they normally run faster in the spring here, but it is getting cooler here this evening, and that will pick the speeds up.
All right, so we'll be right back as we continue our qualifying for tomorrow night's Busch 500 Winston Cup race right after this.
all the cars that come out each year, only one can be the Motor Trend Car of the Year. For 1988, that one is this one. The hot new Pontiac Grand Prix. Get on your Pontiac and ride! Pontiac ride! The new Grand Prix, Motor Trend's Car of the Year. You've got to drive it. Get on your Pontiac! Rebuild excitement!
Back at Bristol International Raceway, ESPN Speed World tonight, live for first qualifying for the Winston Cup race, and then later at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, we'll be here live for the Tri-City Pontiac 200 Grand National Race. And as qualifying is continuing on the racetrack, let's go now to the pit area and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, many of the drivers are saying this man here, Mark Martin, is the guy to watch tonight. He may be the only guy that can beat Alan Kulwicki. Even Bill Elliott said a minute ago, watch the car number 6, the Stroh Light car, because he's going to be tough. Mark, how about it? A lot of guys saying you're the man to beat tonight. You're awfully strong in practice.
Jerry, we got a shot at it, but that's all it is until we do it. It's just a shot. We're going to take our shot at it just here in a second. Alan went awful fast. I don't know if we can do it or not, but I'm going to give it everything I have.
This young man, a 3-time ASA champion, still holds the Busch Grand National qualifying record set a year ago today. So he's getting ready to go out and fire this car up, and we'll see what happens. He fires it up now, getting ready for his qualifying run. Mark Martin.
Well, Jerry, as he pulls off the line, that was the 16th car that just qualified, who was Brad Knopfinger, and he has bumped Ron Esau from the field. Only 15 positions will be earned in this first qualifying round here tonight in Bristol, Tennessee. J.D. McDuffie is the fellow who is on the hot seat or the bubble or whatever you want to say. He qualified at 107.375, and that's all Mark Martin has to do to knock him off, but he has a bigger mission than that, Bob.
All right, here is Mark Martin. He has no poles in 1988, but he does have 2 career poles. Those both came in 1981. Mark, of course, is from Batesville, Arkansas, 29 years of age, and here he comes to complete lap number 1 of qualifying. Again, the time to beat is 16.415, a speed of 116.893. Alan Kulwicki, did he do it?
Well, no, not quite, but he had trouble going into turn 2, it looks like, so he's off the pace, but he did run a faster lap on his first lap than did Alan Kulwicki, 16.454, 116.616, but he slowed down to 18.151, so something happened. I guess he slipped as he came off of turn 2, and that was it. But had he been able to pick up as much on his second lap as Alan Kulwicki, well, he might have beat him. But
well, that off of turn number 2, Ned, is one of those areas that the track has been repaved or patched, and it is giving the driver some problems. Let's watch it now and see if we can tell what happened to Mark in turn 2.
Okay, we see him now going into turn 1, and you see the sparks fly as the car bottoms out. And he gets sideways. He starts off at turn 2, and that's what's it to me, and he knew it. And so there was the only thing he'd do, just come on around, take the checkered flag. Then he knew that he'd already fouled the lap up. Here's Lake Speed in car number 83.
Lake Speed attempting to break into the top 15. Again, only the top 15 qualifiers are locked into their positions. Everybody's starting position back of position 15 will be determined during second round qualifying tomorrow afternoon. White flag for Lake Speed. Lap number 1 is completed. And it is 17.224. That is a speed of 111.403.
Lake slipped a little bit as he came off of turn 2 on the first lap. This one looked a little bit smoother for him as he comes off of turn 4. Let's see if he picks up a little speed. Yes, he does. 17.016. The seconds that it took, 112.764 miles per hour. That currently puts him in the 9th position.
Very quickly, we'll run down the top 10 qualifiers right now. Alan Kulwicki, Mark Martin, Darrell Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, Rick Wilson, Terry Labonte, Butch Miller, Dale Jarrett, Lake Speed, and the 10th fastest qualifier at the moment is Rick Mast as Bobby Hillin Jr. takes to the racetrack.
Bobby has run 7 races on this racetrack, and you saw on the screen he has 2 top 10 finishes. Had clocked on it a couple times this afternoon. He was not one of the faster cars, but I'm sure they've made some adjustments on the car since this afternoon, and we'll see what he can do under the clocks officially here now. And he has to back off the gas a little bit as he started off at turn 4. It is slick up there. They say it has sort of a rippling effect as they come off that turn, and that slowed him a little bit. 17.491, the second, 109.702 miles an hour.
So Bobby Hillin Jr. will be looking to pick that speed up in Lap number 2, here it is. The checkered flag drops for him, and lap number 2 is faster for Bobby Hillin Jr. The time is 17.374 seconds, and the speed is 110.441 miles an hour.
But that's not fast enough, Bob, to get him in the top 15. That puts him 16 fastest at the moment. Jimmy Means is the fellow who is on the hot seat at the moment.
There is Kenny Bernstein, who is the owner of the race car that is on the track right now to attempt qualifying. And that, of course, the car driven by Ricky Rudd, the Quaker State Buick. Green flag for Ricky Rudd as Kenny Bernstein looks on. Ricky, of course, the winner of the Watkins Glen Winston Cup race that we televised for you not too long ago.
Ricky likes this racetrack. He runs very well here. Had a good run going back in the spring until he blew a tire and hit the wall.
Lap number 1 is a pretty good one for Ricky Rudd. It is 16.967 seconds and a speed of 113.090.
I bet this will be a little faster, Bobby. He made a good, smooth turn into turn 3 there. Nope, he's slower. I thought it looked so smooth going into turn 3. I thought he made a better line that time.
Just a tick of the watch slower at 17.020 and a speed of 112.738. So the first lap, 113.090, is the fastest. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, Kenny, not a bad qualifying effort for your young driver.
Well, not bad. We thought it'd be a little better. The guys are really flying here, but, you know, the Quaker State Buick, we went out there and gave it a shot. He did a good job.
This is the same car they set on the pole with at Martinsville, finished second at Richmond and Wilkesboro, so it's a pretty good race car.
Yeah, it is, but, you know, this track's changed a whole lot. I'm sure people have told you that with the repaving job, it's a lot rougher, so it's a different game here this week than it's ever been before.
Kenny Bernstein, car owner for Ricky Rudd.
Ricky Rudd is right now the 9th fastest qualifier as we are live at Bristol, Tennessee for Winston Cup qualifying, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Tom Flerkey, and I just bought Eddie Chevrolet Buick right off 95 in Pawtucket, and I'm cleaning the place up, including the old inventory. How about a brand new 87 Chevy Sprint with air conditioning and stereo for $69.95? We've got 4 of them. And what can we say about Camaro convertibles? I've got 3 of these babies in stock. At these prices, I'll clean out and you'll clean up.
Hey, you can talk turkey with the folks at Tom Flerkey. A little bit of scratch is all you need.
There's an exciting, rewarding opportunity awaiting you as an aviation mechanic. When you get your federal license, you'll have the skills now in demand at top pay. At New England's largest accredited aviation mechanics school, you'll get hands-on power plant and airframe training with top-flight professional instructors. East Coast Aerotech, offering lifetime job placement. Go for it. Call 274-6400 now.
Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Jerry Punch, and Larry Newber back at Bristol International Raceway for Busch, qualifying for tomorrow night's Busch 500 Winston Cup race that we'll have for you live here on ESPN. And moving out onto the racetrack is Bill Elliott in car number 9. 31 career pole positions, 29 on super speedways and 2 at short tracks, and both of those poles on short tracks have been at North Wilkesboro.
Bill, of course, won his first and only short track race at Bristol here back in the spring. So he's getting a short track program together. For several years, he was not too competitive, but really going strong now.
Here's Bill Elliott completing lap number 1 of qualifying, and it is a good lap. It is 16.723 seconds, and that translates to a speed of 114.740. First lap for Bill Elliott. The pole speed is 116.893. Here's the checkered flag. We'll see if Bill Elliott improved on lap number 2, and he did not.
Just a little bit slower, 0.02 of a second slower, 16.743. The elapsed time on the second lap, so Bill Elliott now in at the 5th fastest time.
Larry Newber is with Mark Martin.
Well, Mark, a lot of people, including yourself, felt that you were a candidate for the pole. Did a little sachet in 2 end it?
Well, you never figure you got it when you got Alan Kowicki in the field. You know, he's a good qualifier. Congratulations to him, and I want to thank Jack Roush and his people up in Livonia, Michigan, and Steve Neal and Robin Pemberton. They gave me a race car in Strollite. They gave me a race car that could sit on the pole tonight. We missed it by the skin of our teeth. You know, we just need to try it again. You know, we get another chance next week at Darlington. And we got a bunch of good racetracks coming up. We got to concentrate on trying to win this thing now.
Well, Mark Martin is one of those people that many think is just around the corner from his first win, and Bob, a guy who won for the first time in his career not too long ago, is on the track right now.
First lap was 16.819, 114.085. Second lap is slower, 113.505. Jerry Punch is with Richard Petty, who's about to go out.
Well, Richard buckled in the STP Pontiac, and man has won the pole 6 times and 3 wins here at Bristol. Richard, this is a pretty good racetrack for you.
Well, yeah, most of the time it is. We usually run pretty good. We got any kind of luck at all, we usually finish pretty good. But it's been a pretty good while since we won a race. We're going to try to win this one.
Well, he's got a pretty good shot at it. This is the same car that he finished 3rd in at Richmond earlier in the year, and he finished 6th in the Valleydale 500 back in April. So Richard got a good shot, had a good run tomorrow night.
Well, the only pole that he has won here started conquering the pole positions back in 1978 was here at Bristol back in 1979. He hasn't won a pole since then. On the hot seat right now is Neil Bonnet, who was the first car to qualify at 112.427 miles an hour. He sits in 15th position.
And Richard Petty is poised, ready to go on to the racetrack. Ernie Irvin has qualified at 112.930, and now it's the King's turn as he goes out onto the racetrack. 2 laps of qualifying. The faster will be the time counted.
Rodney Combs goes on the hot seat now. His elapsed time was 17.066, 112.434 miles an hour. Neil Bonnet, Michael Waltrip, Brad Nossinger, Jimmy Means, Bobby Hilling Jr. have all been bumped from the top 15.
6 pole position wins here at Bristol for Richard Petty. His last one came in 1974 for the Busch 500. But in all 127 times, Richard Petty has begun a Winston Cup race from the pole position. Here he is coming off of corner number 4 and completing lap number 1. Let's see how Richard Petty does.
16.987, 112.957 miles per hour. That will get him in the top 15, but he had some good practice runs this afternoon, Bob. I thought he would qualify a little faster. Maybe he will on the second lap.
Checkered flag falls for Richard Petty, and lap number 2, no, it is slower than lap number 1. It's 17.124 and a speed of 112.053. So Richard Petty times in at 112.957. Back with more qualifying after this.
Last year alone, over 60 major racing championships were won with the Goodyear Racing Eagle, the race-winning technology that helped develop these tires. Can be found in these tires, the Goodyear Eagle Street Radials, the best-selling performance tires in the world. Goodyear Eagles, because there really is a difference.
Quaker State congratulates Ricky Rudd and his Quaker State Buick for a thrilling bumper-to-bumper victory at Watkins Glen.
If you're like me, you want your engine to perform. You want it to run clean, and you don't want sludge. That's why you and I both need Quaker State with QSX. No other oil runs cleaner or fights sludge better. And the Quaker State I use in my car is the same oil you can buy right off the shelf for your car.
Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Get ready for racing under the lights on the world's fastest half-mile track. Defending champion Dale Earnhardt takes off at the Busch 500. Saturday night at 7:30 Eastern, live on ESPN.
Back at beautiful Bristol International Raceway on this Friday night for Winston Cup qualifying. And on the track right now is Sterling Marlin driving car number 44, the Piedmont Airlines Oldsmobile. And he is about to complete lap number 1 of qualifying. And it is a 17.014 second lap, a speed of 112.778.
I thought he'd run a little faster than that, Bob. He ran close to that in practice this afternoon when the sun was shining down on the track.
And he flashes by the start-finish line to complete the run, and it is faster, but not by very much. It's 16.905 and a speed of 113.505 miles an hour.
And that puts him in the 10th position at the moment. He just bumped Rick Mast, who is driving for Buddy Baker here this weekend. Rick, one of the top Busch Grand National drivers, and Lake Speed, who won the Trans-South 500 in Darlington earlier this year, is on the hot seat. His speed, 112.764. He's the last driver in the top 15 who is in the 17-second bracket. So you're going to have to get in the 17-second bracket, and
Morgan Shepherd almost loses it. You saw some sparks fly from the underside of the car going into turn number 1. And Morgan Shepherd driving the Heinz-sponsored car way out of shape in turn number 1. This will be a very slow qualifying lap for him. He'll want to pick it up, and really he has just one shot coming now to make the field, at least the top 15.
And boy, that'll make you go into that first turn a little bit easier the next time, Bob, when you get it out of shape. He knows he has to go make a good smooth lap now just to try to get in the top 15. Let's see if he can do it.
Just for the record, that first lap was only 97.455 miles an hour, and the second lap is not very good. It's 17.113 and a speed of 112.125 miles an hour.
And that will not get him in the top 15.
Replay of what happened. Look at the massive amount of sparks that came from the car in turn number 1.
It looks like he got the left front wheel down on the apron as he went into that turn, and it upset the chassis of the car. And boy, he did a beautiful job. He is still sideways, but he pulled it back out. Morgan Shepherd has proved once again he's a tremendous race driver.
Larry Nuber is with Alan Kulwicki on the pole at the moment.
Bob, there are a couple of ways to be on the bubble when you're qualifying for a race. One's the bad way, worrying about whether or not you're going to get in. This is the good way, worrying about whether or not this pole speed is going to hold up. Now, we've already talked about the fact that you feared Mark Martin the most, but among those left, who do you think has a shot at you?
Well, I think Jeff Bodine's probably the strongest car left in line, but I feel pretty good about our run. Mark and I were the two fastest cars, and we were just trying to put a little psychological pressure on each other before qualifying because we both felt we had a shot at it, and I guess in this case the Xerox Amoco Ford Thunderbird just stuck a little bit better than his car did.
Well, right now Jerry Punch is with the man that you fear most among those left, Jeff Bodine.
Well, Jeff getting ready to go out of the Levi Garrett Chevrolet. And Jeff, Alan Kulwicki just said you're the man that can beat him. You're the only one left over here that may have a shot at running better than 16.415. Can you do it?
Well, I appreciate his confidence in me. We've got confidence in the car. It's been running good. It's cooled off a lot since practice, and we ran some good practice times. We're going to have to wait here about 2 minutes to find out just how fast this Levi Garrett car will go. But we're confident, like Alan, that we've got a chance at it.
Well, him getting ready to go next, Jeff Bodine, Kyle Petty on the track right now, qualifying in the Wood Brothers go forward.
And the first lap for Kyle Petty is slow 17.173. That is a speed of 111.734 miles an hour. Dave Marcus has clocked in with a 113.110, good enough for 12th starting position. Second lap for Kyle Petty is faster, but only 112.851. The time 17.003. So our next qualifier will be Jeff Bodine, and we'll be back for his run right after this.
If you like to drive, really like to drive, this is what your next car should be. This is the all-new Pontiac Grand Prix.
Get on your Pontiac and ride! Pontiac ride!
This is the 1988 Motor Trend Car of the Year. And that ought to be you driving.
Get on your Pontiac! We build excitement!
Pushing hard, breaking through, 'cause good isn't good enough for you. Wash and go.
It's shampoo plus conditioner in one. For control you can't get from ordinary shampoo.
You got it together.
Hair's clean, easy to manage.
Ready to roll. Wash and go.
Shampoo, conditioner in one.
Hurt Plus.
Satin finish has the look that gets the looks. You can see why it's worth more.
ESPN is your ticket to NFL Sunday night action when the best go head-to-head. As time runs out elsewhere, ESPN kicks off each Sunday night of the season with football's finest hour, NFL Primetime. The greatest plays from every game played that day. Then, Joe Theismann joins the team that won critical acclaim. NFL Sunday Night Football, live on ESPN.
We're back at Bristol International Raceway, and Jeff Bodine is set to pull out onto the racetrack and attempt to qualify for the Busch 500. Attempting to get into the top 15. Ernie Irvan on the hot seat right now with a 112.930. Jeff Bodine has won the pole 21 times in his career, including 3 here at Bristol. Once again, Alan Kulwicki and Mark Martin are on the front row right now. Waltrip and Earnhardt in row 2, and row 3, Elliott and Wilson, and then Ken Schrader, Terry Labonte, Butch Miller, Sterling Marlin, Dale Jarrett, Dave Marcus, Ricky Rudd, Richard Petty, and Ernie Irvan. Those are the top 15, and Bodine a little out of shape coming out of turn number 2.
He did. That's a very slick portion of the racetrack over there. If you don't get into that turn just right, the back end will break loose. In fact, the whole car will come off the ground.
Let's see what Jeff Bodine can do on lap number 1. It is 16.574. Speed 115.772. He's close.
He is. He's 0.02 of a second faster than the old record for this particular race.
Jeff.
But he gets it out of shape as he comes off of turn 4 and a little bit slower. That slowed him down. 16.626.
115.410 on the second lap. So the first lap of 115.772 is the lap of record. And here's a replay of Bodine coming out of corner number 4 with the car sideways.
Well, he had it wide open coming out of there, and that is a very slick turn, and the back end just broke loose with him a little bit as he came off of that turn, and it certainly took some speed away from him.
So Jeff Bodine is the 3rd fastest qualifier at 115.772 miles an hour. There aren't very many rules regarding qualifying and the race, but there is one very important one. Here is an ESPN track back. Quickbacks are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Goodyear and Hoosier are not the only companies that have tractor-trailer rigs where you might see tires warehoused during a Winston Cup weekend. This is the Winston Cup Series trailer, and it is here after qualifying that you might see up to 15 stacks of 4 tires, because after qualifying, the top qualifiers are required to impound their tires here. This is done to ensure that they start the race on the tires that they qualify on. It's also a control measure to assure everyone that everybody has exactly the same compound. So it's only for 24 hours, but there are not just 2 tire trucks at every Winston Cup race. There's a 3rd.
So Davey Allison now moves on to the racetrack for his qualifying effort, and Davey has 7 career poles, and all of them have been on super speedway. So Davey's short track program not successful to this point as far as qualifying is concerned.
His first lap at 16.993, that's not fast enough to get him in the top 15 at the moment. 112.917 miles an hour. He'll have to pick it up a little bit to get in the top 15.
Car bottoms out going into turn number 3. Here's Allison off the 4th corner, and the checkered flag drops for him. Lap number 2 is faster than the first lap. Davey Allison picking it up to 113.774, a time of 16.865. Larry Number is with Jeff Bodine.
Well, qualifying's supposed to be easy, not thrilling. You go out there all by yourself, one car, take a lap. It's a piece of cake, right?
Yeah, and I'm out of breath. I feel like I ran 500 laps around this place. They were 2 real tough, treacherous laps. I guess everyone out there knows how we've been complaining about this racetrack, the changes that have taken place since the last race here, and it is treacherous out there. I don't think my car was straight any time around this track. It really is bad. We're just hoping and praying that nobody gets in trouble tonight or tomorrow and gets in a wreck and gets hurt. That's our big concern. The track is bad. It's rough. It's going to be really hard to do any kind of racing out here, but we made around 2 laps. I guess we can make it 500 more.
Well, Bob, what you're watching is Tommy Ellis, who is subbing this week for Benny Parsons. Tommy will be in this car a few more times this year. Bob?
First lap was 17.673, speed 108.572. Second lap much faster, 17.223, speed 111.409, but not nearly good enough to get him into the top 15.
Right now, Dave Marcus is on the hot seat, the 15th fastest at 16.964, 113.110 miles an hour. Ricky Rudd and Richard Petty have already been bumped as Harry Gant takes the green flag.
Harry Gant has 2 pole positions here at Bristol in the 1987 and the 85 Valleydale Meets 500. That is the race that is run in the spring here at Bristol. So Harry Gant on the racetrack and completing lap number 1 of qualifying. Wallace, Gold Bandit Chevrolet, has turned in a clocking of 16.786, and that's a very respectable 114.310 for Harry.
That's the 7th fastest at the moment. Still got checkered flag coming up. He could even better it.
And the second lap for Harry is
bettered it by 1,000th of a second.
How close can you get? First lap was 16.786. Second lap 16.785. Second lap speed 114.316. And Harry Gant is our 7th fastest to this point. We'll be right back.
In auto racing, the big Q stands for quality. In Quaker State's 11,000 RPM Porsche-powered Indy car. In Ricky Rudd's 625 horsepower high-torque V8. These great racing engines demand the great name in motor oil. Quaker State with QSX, proven to run clean for unbeatable protection from wear and tear.
And the Quaker State that protects all these engines on the track is the same oil you buy right off the shelf.
Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
This is how a Ferrari Testarossa looks on the road. And this is how a Ferrari Testarossa looks to the road, where it ultimately responds through the contact patch of its Goodyear Eagle tires. The exclusive tires chosen by Ferrari for every Testarossa sold in America. Goodyear Eagles, because there really is a difference.
You're sure he's coming? He'll be here. As long as I've known Tom. I need help, he's there. We're still short-handed. Yep. Sure, I'm glad to see you. Reckon you are. Stay with you? Figured you wouldn't mind.
When the last stray's rounded up, you head for the mountains. Busch. And the beer that goes down smooth as a mountain stream.
Well, sure are you one. How about this in here?
Head for the mountains of Busch beer.
We welcome you back to Bristol International Raceway. This young man, 33-year-old Dave Mater from Maline, Alabama, 3-time All-American Challenge Series champion, making his first ever Winston Cup start tonight in a brand new Pontiac. And Dave, you've raced here before, but never in Winston Cup competition.
No, we've raced here twice. We won in 86 and had problems in 88 or 87 and finished 9th. So, yes, we've raced here twice before.
Butterflies tonight?
Maybe a little bit.
Dave Mater making his first, a well-deserved Winston Cup start, getting ready to make his qualifying run. But on the track right now, the Crisco Ford, Brett Bodine.
Brett Bodine from Chemung, New York, looking to crack the top 15, and the man on the bubble, so to speak, 15th fastest qualifier to this point is Dale Jarrett. Ken Bouchard has qualified at 111.067, and now Brett Bodine completes lap number 1 of qualifying. Dave Mater will be rolling onto the racetrack for his qualification attempt in just a couple of minutes. First lap for Brett Bodine is 17.004 seconds at a speed of 112.844.
And that's not quite fast enough to get him in the top 15, Bob. He'll need to pick that up on this second lap. And many of the drivers have been able to do that, and he did.
16.931 seconds.
But not quite good enough. He lacked 1,000th of a second, tying Dale Jarrett. That's how close qualifying is here. So Brett Bodine, that makes him the 16th fastest by just 1,000th of a second.
And Phil Parsons now will attempt to crack into the top 15. Phil Parsons from Denver, North Carolina. Off of corner number 4 and receiving the green flag.
Of course, Phil has never won a pole. He's won a race, but has never won a pole. Something he would like to do. Of course, when they do win a pole, they get a position in the Busch Clash the next year, and that's worth a lot of money to them.
And here's the white flag for Phil Parsons. The first lap is not good enough for the top 15. It is 17.104 and a speed of 112.184 miles an hour. So Dale Jarrett is still on the hot seat. Here's Phil Parsons off the 4th corner. Second lap is completed. And it's faster than lap number 1, but it is not good enough for the top 15. It's 17.016 at a speed of 112.764. And here's the young man that Jerry Punch was talking with just a few moments ago. Dave Mater III, trying to make his first Winston Cup race.
His dad, Dave Mater Jr., was a race driver for many, many years, and a very good race driver.
And Mater, the car a little bit sideways, it looks, in turn number 2. A little bit out of shape.
No sponsor on that car, Bob, and I'm sure they're looking for sponsorship. And it gets a little bit out of shape as it comes off of turn 4 as well.
So we're not looking for a real good lap here. It is 17.166. That's a speed of 111.779.
That wasn't too bad to have went through both turns. He gathered it back in and managed to salvage a pretty good time out of it.
Here's the checkered flag dropping for Dave Mater. He's dirt tracking it out there. Second lap is faster than the first. It's 17.062. And that translates to a speed of 112.460.
That was a good time for his first time in the Winston Cup car. Rob, that certainly will get him in the field. He can stand on that time, or either he can retime tomorrow. And most of the drivers will stand on their time because they run faster at night than they do in the daytime. And qualifying for second round tomorrow at 1 o'clock, it'll be much hotter, and most of them will stand on the time they turn tonight. Here's the last car to qualify.
And it is Mike Alexander driving the number 12 Miller High Life Buick, the car that Bobby Allison campaigned in the season before he was injured at Pocono. Mike Alexander. That is for the pole position, 16.415. And let's see if Mike Alexander came close to that. He did not. First lap is 17.165 seconds and a speed 111.867. And he also did not crack the top 15. We'll see if he does on this final lap of qualifying.
A lot of sparks coming out of that car as he made his round. And he's a little bit slower on his second lap than he was on his first lap. 17.209, 111.500. So Mike Alexander will not get in the top 15 here tonight.
Dale Jarrett will be the 15th fastest qualifier for tomorrow night's Busch 500. 14th fastest is Derek Cope, then Sterling Marlin, Butch Miller, Davey Allison, Terry Labonte, Ken Schrader, Rick Wilson, Harry Gant, Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Bodine, Mark Martin, and the pole sitter is Alan Kulwicki. Well, our qualifying has been brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. And by Purolator, the first name in filters for Pure Oil now and Pure Oil later. It's Purolator. So the pole position has been decided. We'll be back to talk with the pole sitter after this.
Hi, I'm Tom Flerkey, and I just bought Eddie Chevrolet Buick right off 95 in Pawtucket, and I'm cleaning the place up, including the old inventory. How about a brand new 87 Chevy Sprint with air conditioning and stereo for $69.95? We've got 4 of them. And what can we say about Camaro convertibles? I've got 3 of these babies in stock. At these prices, I'll clean out and you'll clean up.
Hey, you can talk turkey with the folks at Tom Flerkey. A little bit of scratch is all you need.
There's an exciting, rewarding opportunity awaiting you as an aviation mechanic. When you get your federal license, you'll have the skills now in demand at top pay. At New England's largest accredited aviation mechanic school, you'll get hands-on power plant and airframe training with top-flight professional instructors. East Coast Aerotech, offering lifetime job placement. Go for it. Call 274-6400 now.
The big Q stands for quality.
We engineer quality into every drop of Quaker State motor oil.
Only Quaker State has QSX, an advanced formula proven to run clean for unbeatable protection from wear and tear.
Before our oil's good enough for your car, we prove that it works in our car.
Quaker State quality. We don't just talk about it, we live by it.
Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
We are back at Bristol International Raceway on an exciting evening of action for you. We've just completed qualifying for tomorrow night's Winston Cup Busch 500. And just about 16 or 17 minutes from now, we will have the Grand National Race. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch with a special guest.
Well, we have a special guest. No, we're not at a basketball arena, but we do have Brad Daugherty, center for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And, of course, if I can reach up that far, 7 feet in the air, Brad, former All-American at University of North Carolina, now with Cleveland. You're a big race fan.
Oh, yeah, I love this racing. This is probably my biggest love, but I'm a little scared to get in those race cars and drive them, so I'll dribble the basketball instead.
They have to cut a hole in the roof for you to fit in one of these things, but you get to as many of these things as you can.
Oh, yeah, I go racing just about every weekend when I'm able to, when I'm not doing something else. Pertaining to basketball, I'm racing, and I go every weekend.
Well, you got a special treat tonight. I understand you're going to be Grand Marshal for the upcoming Tri-City Pontiac 200. You're going to get to say those words.
Yeah, I get to tell them to start those engines up. That's going to be a lot of fun, and I also get to give this award to Mr. Alan Kowicki, who had a real good run here this evening.
Well, Alan Kowicki making his way over to get the pole award, brand new event qualifying record. We'll show you here. They have it on this Busch board they use for all of qualifying. The event record held by Terry Labonte set a year ago, August 21st, at 16.576 seconds. Of course, Alan Kowicki turning 16.415 seconds. So Alan Kowicki sitting on the pole in the Z-Rex Amoco Ford. So Alan Kowicki trial will be over just a few minutes to get his pole award. Alan Kowicki, 31-year-old Wisconsin native, will be back with the pole award in just a minute.
Why do over 35 of the world's best engineered performance cars come with Goodyear Eagle street radials exclusively? A major reason is the Goodyear Eagle contact patch, where the car ultimately meets and responds to the road. So it's no coincidence that Goodyear Eagles are the overwhelming choice of the world's best engineered performance cars. Goodyear Eagles, because there really is a difference.
This is the all-new Pontiac Grand Prix. Motor Trend called its advanced design squarely in step with the 90s. They said its spectacular interior produced a driving environment second to none. They said where the new Grand Prix really stands out is its handling. They liked it so much, they named it the 1988 Motor Trend Car of the Year, the hot new Pontiac Grand Prix.
Rebuild excitement.
The U.S. Olympic squad moves toward their gold medal dream. Navy's David Robinson leads the way against the NBA All-Stars Saturday night at 11:30 Eastern, live on ESPN.
We are back at Bristol International Raceway, and the man of the hour, the man who put a new event record in his Ford tonight, 16.415 seconds, Alan Kowicki. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jerry. It feels great to be on a pole here. Qualified second here in the spring, and we missed it by 0.04 of a second. This time we got it by 0.04 of a second, and the Z-Rex Amoco winner, Ford Thunderbird, ran great, and we're really pleased.
Third pole of the year. Now that ties you with Bill Elliott for that season-ending 30,000 from Anheuser-Busch. That's got to be pretty good too.
It does. That's something that we're shooting for, and we've got an excellent chance to win it. We're tied for first right now, and the guys on the crew worked really hard today. We had one of the fastest cars in practice and thought we had a good shot at it. A lot of times, I'm not the fastest car in practice, and I'll get there one way or another when qualifying comes, but we knew we had a good car today.
That first win has been so far coming. You said this car you're in today won a pole at Dover, it won a pole at Pocono, and again on the pole here at Bristol. Can the first win come tomorrow night?
Well, I don't see any reason why not. You know, I'm not one to make predictions. You know, there's a lot of good guys that could win the race here tomorrow night, but we're certainly one of the contenders, and I feel we've got as good a shot as anyone. The morale on our team is good, and we're working real hard right now. We're going to give it a good shot tomorrow.
This young Wisconsin driver still looking for that first Winston Cup win. He will lead the charge tomorrow night in the Busch 500. Bob?
And it's his third pole of the year, and our pole sitter interview has been brought to you by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. And we'll be back with more as we are live at Bristol International Raceway on this Friday evening. Stay with us.
Last year alone, over 60 major racing championships were won with the Goodyear Racing Eagle, the race-winning technology that helped develop these tires. Can be found in these tires, the Goodyear Eagle Street Radials, the best-selling performance tires in the world. Goodyear Eagles, because there really is a difference.
Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality.
We engineer quality into every drop of Quaker State motor oil.
Only Quaker State has QSX, an advanced formula proven to run clean for unbeatable protection from wear and tear.
Before our oil's good enough for your car, we prove that it works in our car.
Quaker State quality. We don't just talk about it, we live by it.
Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
To some, it's routine maintenance. To others, it's an act of love. If you truly appreciate fine machinery, you protect it with Purolator filters.
We are back at Bristol International Raceway, and it's sort of a magical evening here at Bristol, and I'm standing with Rick Gerber, who is the corporate magician for Anheuser-Busch. And Rick, you travel all around the country. Are you the guy that puts the bubbles in the beer?
No, that takes lots of time and patience. They got other magicians doing that.
Well, show us what you got for us here.
I got one for you. It's a simple little thing. It uses two things, a little yellow handkerchief. I can let you hold on that. And a little Busch label, a little piece of paper. And you take this little label and you roll it up into a cone just like that. And you take this little yellow silk. Good job there, Jerry. It goes right down inside the top of the label. It goes all the way down inside there. Now, it's really there. No mirrors or anything. It goes right down the top. And as it goes down the top, you'll notice it doesn't come out the bottom. I keep that pinched together. I've got no sleeves. And yet inside of here, you see there's no longer a little yellow handkerchief. See, the hands are empty, and you're just back to this little Busch label, back to a little piece of paper. And if you roll it back into a cone again, just like that, take an empty hand, you reach back in the label, and since that's where you put it, Jerry, see, that's where you find it. One little yellow silk handkerchief and one Busch beer label, just like that. You can even take this home and practice. You can work on that.
Can you make calories disappear like that in pounds?
Bud Light.
Rick Gerber, Anheuser-Busch corporate magician. Gentlemen?
All right, thank you very much. Well, let's review for you now what we have accomplished here this evening in qualifying for tomorrow night's Busch 500. Row number 1 tomorrow night will consist of Alan Kulwicki and Mark Martin. In the second row, it'll be Jeff Bodine and Darrell Waltrip. Row number 3, Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott. The fourth row, Harry Gant and Rick Wilson. So it should be an interesting race tomorrow night on this .533 mile racetrack. We will be back in just a few moments. We'll now prepare to bring you live coverage in just a few moments of the Tri-City Pontiac 200 Busch Grand National race. That's coming up in just a moment, so stay with us.
In auto racing, the big Q stands for quality. In Quaker State's 11,000 RPM Porsche-powered Indy car. In Ricky Rudd's 625 horsepower high-torque V8. These great racing engines demand the great name in motor oil. Quaker State with QSX, proven to run clean for unbeatable protection from wear and tear.
And the Quaker State that protects all these engines on the track is the same oil you buy right off the shelf.
Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Of all the cars that come out each year, only one can be the Motor Trend Car of the Year. For 1988, that one is this one, the hot new Pontiac Grand Prix.
Get on the Pontiac and ride! Pontiac ride!
The new Grand Prix, Motor Trend's Car of the Year. You've got to drive it.
Get on the Pontiac! We build excitement!
ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Tonight, live from Bristol International Raceway, the Tri-City Pontiac 200 being brought to you by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you. By Pontiac Grand Prix, the 1988 Motor Trend Car of the Year. And by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. It is a beautiful, clear night here in the eastern mountains of Tennessee as we are live from Bristol International Raceway. Good evening, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and stand by now for Busch Grand National Racing, since we have decided who will be on the pole for tomorrow night's Winston Cup event. This has always been a very demanding racetrack.